Hola amigos, hola amigas. Welcome to the very last episode of Love Stories with Grady. I'm so happy to have you. In today's episode, we are going to be talking about marriage and being happily ever after with a big question mark, because what does that even mean? But first, I have the quickest of stories. Once upon a time, a man and a woman, pretty much every single man and woman who have ever gotten married in the history of marriage have been standing there up on the altar. They say their I do's. The woman has said I do to the man. The man has said I do to the woman. But the question now is, what do they do? They said I do, but what do they do? In today's episode, we're really going to be kicking back and we're going to be saying, all right, now that you're married, what's the next step? What do you do now going forward? And it's gonna be fun. So grab a cup of filtered water, drink it on down for your hydration, and get settled for this fantastic last episode of Love Stories with Grady. Hola, my name is Grady Wise-Ork, and I'm a 22-year-old man here to chat about your relational game plan. And if you're planning on getting married ever in the future, it might be good to ask yourself, well, what happens after marriage? And those are fantastic things to think about. We talked a lot about marriage in the engagement video of what to expect from marriage and being on the same page with your partner. So I would really encourage you to check that out. For this video, we're just gonna be talking about a few additional things about marriage, as well as wrapping up the series as a whole and just posturing ourselves for where we should go in life and in the future and things that we should focus on and think on. So as we talked about in the engagement episode, it's very important to make sure that you're on the same page with your partner when it comes to all things marriage. For example, money is something that you should sort through and be on the same page on. Like, do you know if you two will be spenders or savers? What do you want your home's financial situation to be now? When you get married, what is your expectations for what that looks like? And where do you want to be 5 to 10 years from now? And if you know where you want to be 5 to 10 years from now, how are you going to get there in order to make sure you have those things that you want? Another thing that you want to make sure that you'll be on the same page on: how will you raise your children? How will you discipline them? And how will you teach them? What will you teach them? In what ways will you teach them? When will you teach them these things? Listen, we have discussed so much, so much in these Love Stories with Grady episodes. I've been putting one of these out for roughly once a week for roughly 6 months. And for the past month-ish, I've been putting 2 out a week. I'll be doing another video, a separate video on why this is all coming to a close and what's next for this channel. So if you're watching this live when this just came out today or tomorrow or whenever this came out, if it came out recently, my what's next video is coming out next week. And so stay tuned for that. If you're binging this like 2 weeks in the future or further, that video's already out. If you're binging this like 3 months in the future, you probably already know what's next after this video. And why is this coming to a close? Well, one of the reasons is we have gotten to the very end of this book, Facts of Life and Love for Teenagers by Evelyn Millis Duvall. And when she wrote for teenagers back in the day, she was writing really, truly for everyone, because it was saying, here's the things that you'll need to know for adulthood. Anyway, so I'm going to review the episodes that we already recorded, already filmed, already out there, and I'm going to just talk briefly about what was talked about in each of them. And this is twofold. This is to show us, A, how far we've come, but also B, so you can say, hey, if there's something that I need to really look into for myself currently where I'm at, I'll be able to go back to that video and check it out. One of the things that is down in this description is the Love Advice with Grady columns, the playlist of all of the different videos. That's synonymous with the Love Stories with Grady series. And then after I read these episodes, I'm gonna kind of give some wrap-up thoughts on love itself, and then we'll go out with a bang. I don't know what I should do. Maybe just crack my screen, crack my camera with this shoehorn that I've used as a mic, even though I have a mic literally sitting right here. Hello? All right, so we'll go rapid fire through these. There's a video called Hush Hush Love Topics from the 1950s. That was the intro video. And the question is love advice from the 1950s really relevant now? And I personally believe most things in this book were very spot on. Old period myths. We talked about a few things that I did not know about women, and most of them was the fact that I didn't know weird myths that people had about periods. We talked about teenager feelings, how boys become men. We talked to girls about the process of being a boy and growing up as a boy and what that was like. We talked about how I thought babies were made. We talked about, in that video, covering the biology of birth and how I thought the biology of birth worked. This is one way to not be lonely was a video title of one of the videos that I did, and that was about how a relationship should not be our only goal and what we should focus on when it comes to life. There was one video, 5 reasons you're not ready to date, and that gave some self-examining points of how we could potentially grow as people before we go into a relationship. What are some dating expectations? What should you expect of yourself and your person while in dating? That's what that video was about. How not to ask someone on a date. Honestly, I feel like everything before this video, how not to ask someone on a date, was kind of like to be honest. I don't think those initial videos, I was still really learning a lot. Even this one, how not to ask someone on a date. This one was blurry, but I think I was hitting a new level of just talking to the camera. A lot of my first videos were recorded in one batch, and when I was re-editing them, I'm like, ooh, I'm kind of dull, kind of just talking as if like this is the most boring topic ever. My camera was super blurry. It was just all hectic. So in how not to ask someone on a date, we talked about wrong moves to ask someone out. Next video was top 38 places to date, and that was discussing the potential locations you could take someone out on a date. 38 potential dating locations, in fact. The relationship video after that was don't be cow poop, and that was a very short video. You'll have to check it out. That was talking about not cheating on your date while you're on a date. I'm not sure if my point came across in that video, but you'll have to go back and check. What should you ask about on a date? This was probably my most creative video, and it's potential questions to ask your person. And we see me on a date, a fictional me on a date, asking my questions to a dating partner. You'll be able to see my dating partner answer those questions. Is silence on dates bad? I talk about when silence is good and when it's not, and my tendency to not necessarily like silence. Talk about that. How to host a good party. Well, that's kind of self-explanatory. How to host a good party. This video is actually kind of funny because the only time I think I ever mentioned love in this video is saying, welcome to another episode of Love Stories with Grady, and I don't ever relate it back to love. But parties are important because you will likely be at them with your partner. How long should a date be? That's where I give you the magic number for a dating length, and just so you know, there is no magic number for a dating length, but you should check it out in order to see the different things that I shared on that topic. Why do your parents care about who you date? In this video, we talked about having a second opinion from your parents and from another person up here, and why getting a second opinion in a dating relationship is important, as well as why parents care. Then we had a 5-part mini-series about the ladders of love development, how young people develop their love from very early stages all the way till death. And the 5 episodes of this was, do you love yourself too much? And this talked about the importance of self-esteem, but how too much of it can be damaging. Second episode in the series was, do you actually love your family? And it was questioning, this video questions, how much do you actually love your family, and do you really express love to your family? As we've discussed before, sometimes the hardest people to love is the people who are closest to you. Showing them love is so important because they are close to you, because you truly care about them more than everyone else. And so you should show them as much love, if not more. Third in the ladder of love development episodes was a video called I Once Almost Got Married. So you'll have to check out that video to hear that story. But that talks about childhood sweethearts and the importance of them growing up. The next 4th video in the ladder of love development was why do role models and crushes kind of matter? And this talks about affections growing up and the purpose of affections growing up. Final video in the ladder of love development, we kind of skip past dating because in these videos later I talked about dating. But the final episode of this was, what is love's final frontier? And this video talks about the importance and the vitality of a love for the next generation and humanity as a whole. All right, out of the ladder of love 5-part mini-series, a video was released right after called There Are 13 Love Languages, and that's about the different ways to express love and communicate love. What to do when love hurts. We talked about the pain of love and sometimes how it can be painful. The next video was called Do You Have Love or Infatuation? And that was realizing when your love is actually shallow excitement, and making sure that your love is a lot more than just shallow excitement. Next video after that was 6 tests of love. Some people don't think that you can test love, but the book said actually you can. And here are 6 ways that you can test if your love is real. The next video after that was controversial video. Should you pet your partner while dating? How far is too far in dating physically? I talk about my viewpoint in that, what I think about certain aspects of that topic, so you'll have to check out that video for that. Next video after that was how to say no to unwanted dates, pesky people, and everyone else, which I really like that title. I like a lot of these titles. Sometimes I have to be choosy about how I choose my titles, because what I think is going to be the best title isn't what YouTube thinks, so I have to be strategic. But obviously this video is about saying no and how to say no, and sometimes how it's hard to say no, and strategies for saying no. Next video is how to move on from love. This video talks about moving on from what you once thought was best, which may be the love that you had you once thought was best. Then the video after that, we talked about going steady, the process of dating. The video after that, when going steady, when dating isn't wise, the red flags, the signs that you shouldn't date someone. What are those red flags? The video after that, how to break up. What are some tips for ending things? When should you get engaged was the next video after that. That video examined when engagement really is good and what engagement really means, and some things to really look into and dig into. The video after that, how to handle conflict while dating, in marriage, and while engaged. All of those things are important, even with friendships. How to handle conflict. And now this video, happily ever after, preparing for marriage. In this video, we're talking about some final thoughts about love. Here's what Evelyn Millis Duvall ends on by saying in the book: you should never stop growing. Keep growing as long as you live. Read books, talk to the experienced, talk to the unexperienced, watch movies, glean from YouTube videos, go to counseling if need be, read internet articles, seek out wisdom, watch sermons. One of the last comments in her book from Evelyn Millis Duvall was, your life from now on will depend more on your willingness to grow than upon any other factor. I had a wise role model once tell me that people just stop growing and stop maturing after high school or after college because they shut off their brains of saying, hey, I don't need to necessarily learn anymore. There's nothing else for me to learn in life. And they stay at that maturity level for the rest of their lives because they stop trying to grow. And is that where you want to be? I don't think so. Have an inquiring, curious mind for as long as you live. It will benefit you in so many different ways. Growing and learning go hand in hand. And you may have learned a lot from these videos, you may have learned nothing from these videos, but take whatever did stand out to you. If you've watched all of these videos, if you watched this whole playlist and you've gotten down to the bottom right here, take what you've learned and say, all right, what's next? What can I continue growing in? Because this is really the tip of the iceberg, my friends. There's so much experientially and so much you can learn from experienced people that you can apply to your future. Keep asking questions. A good answer leads to even more questions. You'll never run out of questions as long as you keep searching for answers, because your understanding of a topic will just grow deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. Never feel content on how much you know about a certain topic, especially when it comes to others and loving others. You can always continue to love someone better. It's hard for our prides to admit there's ways that we can get better when it comes to us expressing love, because we want to think we have it all figured out. But do we? Even if we do have things figured out, do you want to just operate through life having things figured out, or do you want to be thriving? And if you're already thriving in the way that you express love, don't you want to be extra thriving? More thriving? There's always another level up, my friends. And that person, if you really love them, they deserve another level up. The more you understand in life, the more there will be to understand. Evelyn Millis Duvall says, going out like dropping the mic at the very end of this, she says, as you close this book, do not forget the questions that prompted you to open it. And that's the same with these videos. As you close out this series, do not forget the questions that prompted you to watch this series. Remember those questions, remember what you've learned, and apply them to your life. Final thoughts: always show love, even when it's not easy, even when it's hard. Be selfless. Love is selflessness. And choose to be selfless. You can choose to love. Love is not always a feeling. Just because you don't always feel affectionate towards someone does not mean that you can't choose to love them. Love is a choice. The two people who are saying I do at the marriage altar and the marriage ceremony, what do they do now? They do their vows. They do what they vowed to do. When they say, I take you to be my lawfully wedded wife, or my lawfully wedded husband, to have and to hold from this day forward, for better or for worse, for richer or for poorer, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish, as long as we both shall live. I didn't hear anything about conditional love in there, did you? As you continue to love, become the person and continually become the person that you would be proud of. Remember that love is not a season, it's a lifestyle. Love is not just for dating. Love is not just for engagement. It is for marriage. It is for friendships. It is for family. It is for acquaintances. It is for every single person on planet Earth. It is for the next generation. Love is a choice. Watching these videos can be the first step in you going out to the world and showing love. Figure out who you are, figure out your identity so that you can be the best person for the person who compliments you, and so you can know who best compliments you as a person. And finally, this is what I have to say to you. Love others even when they are unlovable. Love those who you disagree with. Love those who hurt you. Love those who have caused you pain. Love those who you despise. Love those who have done you wrong. Love those who spit on you. If our society became a society of love rather than a society of spite and revenge, think of how different this world would be. All right, from one human to another, I just want to say it has been fantastic walking through these Love Stories with Grady episodes with you. I've had a fantastic time reading this book by Evelyn Millis Duvall. It's crazy that she died literally the day before I was born, taking up her mantle. Hope I did you well. Bless up, Miss Evelyn Millis Duvall. Once again, if you want to review any of the old episodes of Love Stories with Grady, be sure to check out the playlist in the description, or I'll also link it at the end of this video. Be sure to subscribe, because even though the series is ending, I've got some fun stuff coming in the future with some stories that probably will also include love, even though it won't be necessarily me commentating to the camera. We will keep you entertained in the future on this channel. So lots of fun stuff happening. In the comments below, talk about your favorite part of this Love Stories with Grady series. I would love to look at that, read that over, glean from the things that you have learned, because the things that have stood out to you maybe are things that I still need to work on, and we can all learn from each other. That's what love is. Love is me helping you, and love is you helping me. All right, my friends, peace out. This is a final goodbye from a 22-year-old man who has been here to chat about your relational game plan. Adios.